Hello, I am back. This is Lifetime 6 series. We are keeping it going throughout the day, all the way to the primaries of August 23rd. Your voice matters. And because of that, and because of who I am and what I believe in, I want to be able to bring each candidate that is available, that responds back to us to make sure that you all hear their voice. One of the things I want to say when is through my journey of reaching out to candidates, and to pulling this edition together with IBA Success Magazine, is response is so crucial and critical. When I'm thinking about who I'm going to vote for, I am going to ultimately vote for that person that picks up the phone, that makes the appropriate time, whether it's through text, whether it's through email, just to respond. The Jennifer Young Agency, our brand, we have been out talking to candidates. We've been going to hobnobs. We've been reaching out to every person that is on this current ballot. And what's important is our outlook on who actually reaches back out. Having a leader in the community is going to drive right into our next edition of IBA Success, the Leadership Edition. Leaders respond. Leaders are there. Leaders have a plan. I am going to introduce our next guest. Our next guest has been a leader in the community. At this time, we're not going to hold her back any longer. She's behind the screens. Let's come on and bring Miss Cynthia Harris out to the platform this afternoon, this Tuesday. How you doing, Miss Cynthia?
I'm fantastic. How are you?
I am great. It is awesome that when we reached out and called, you answered. I know it was storming, it was raining, and that meant you was not out there knocking on doors. So you're running for a seat. Tell us a little bit about the seat you're running for in your background.
Okay, I'm Cynthia Harris, and I'm your candidate for Orange County Commissioner for District 6. District 6 it encompasses, if you start at Orange Blossom Trail and you travel west all the way to Good Homes Road, come back up Good Homes Road to Colonial, come down Colonial to Hiwassee, take Hiwassee all the way down to when it turns into Turkey Lake and to the 528, go across the boundaries of the 528 to Orange Blossom Trail and come all the way back up to Silver Star. Anything that's in between those boundaries, so you're talking about Tangelo Park, Holden Heights, Paramore, Carver Shores, Richmond Heights, Lake Richmond Estates, Johnson Village, Washington Shores, Orange Center, the Westlake communities, Mercy Drive, a portion of Pine Hills, a portion of Metro West, Orla Vista, Malibu Groves. Let's see, I'm trying to remember if I missed some people.
That's a very big district. Yes.
It
So
is.
you're watching, and one of those districts was called out for you. Sit on down. You're going to want to hear this interview and also pass it and share it right now, because it's all about your voice. We've been talking about voting. Early voting started yesterday.
Yes.
What is your encouragement to a person to get them out to vote?
Well, first of all, local politics is the most important. A lot of people think that they should only vote during the presidential election. You should vote in every election, especially the primaries, because if you don't vote in the primaries and you're waiting for November, your candidate may not be on the ballot in November to move forward to be your voice for you. So it's very important that you stay engaged and stay alert, and you make sure that you have leadership that's going to keep you informed. I've been in this fight in the community since I was 9 years old. I've been serving. I started out serving in the soup kitchen. And from there, I continue to serve my community. So it's not like I got in this race yesterday. I'm not in this race for a paycheck. I'm not trying to build my resume. I am Cynthia Harris, and I love my community. And our community deserves leadership that's willing to fight back and address the issues that are important to us. We've had too many people that look like us that are not for us. They made promises And what we have to understand is our power. Our power in elections is that you are the CEO. This is the only time, if you've never owned a business, you own this business, because you hire and fire with your vote. Your voice matters. If your leadership is not representing you properly, you fire them with your vote. And you voice that and you hold them accountable. We've too often we've elected people that we thought were going to have our ideals, and we always end up disappointed. I don't know about you, but I'm tired of fighting for the things that we should have had a long time ago. If Civil Rights Act was passed so that we have the right to vote, bloodshed, tears, sweat, everything that gets us to this point has been afforded to us, and we shouldn't be lax on it. We should be more proactive than any other group of people when it comes to voting. We need to make sure that we have adequate housing, not just somebody talking about we need housing. We should have better transportation, not somebody talking about transportation. We are hurting. We are food desert. We should have grocery stores in our community. We should have black businesses in our community, small businesses, because without us there's no them. So we need to make sure that we have people that are going to tell you what's going on, not when the sheriff is knocking on your door and the demolition crew is sitting on the sidewalk. We need real leadership that's going to be a real voice and fight for the things that we should have already had a long time ago.
That's a lot, and that's a mouthful. And I think that's something that falls almost in every community right now is,
Mhm.
the changes that's being made and knowing who the individuals are that can fight for us. Okay.
Correct.
My question to you is, what are some of the fights that you've already encountered since that you've been in this community and you've been serving for a very young age?
Well, housing for first and foremost is one of the most important things. Right now, we're hurting because of inflation and recession, and our rent is going up, but our paychecks are not going up. So right now, the county is battling. As a matter of fact, today they've met, and they probably have a meeting sometime this afternoon to continue this discussion about putting a rent cap on the ballot in November. And what that entails is that a landlord cannot raise the rent without giving you notice within 60 days, and he can only, or she can go up only 5%. So a lot of organizations are out there trying to make sure that we get this rent cap. It's a band-aid, but I think right now it's a good band-aid for us to try to recover. We can't afford 5, 10 years for developers to come in and for the county and the city governments to say we're going to build affordable housing. We need housing now. Their Orange County government owns 5,118 properties in their inventory that they could sell to working people. I won't say working poor or working class people. I'm going to say working people, because everybody is a paycheck from homelessness or struggling to their detriment. So with that, if you got 5,118 properties, there are 13 municipalities in Orange County. Imagine how much they have in their inventory. Well, City of Orlando has 1,178 properties in their inventory that they could sell to working people. And that could help alleviate some of the problems that we have with this housing crisis until we could get some housing, and not affordable housing, because there really is no such thing as affordable housing, especially if you made $10 an hour and you're not even getting 40 hours. What is really affordable to you? You need a couple of extra paychecks to go along with the paycheck where you're currently working, just to manage and make it. So housing is very much near and dear, because you're not seeing people going into houses. You're not seeing people buy houses. You're not seeing people able to even afford to rent a house or an apartment because their paychecks is not matching what the demand is out there for it. Transportation is another topic because that's going to be on the ballot in November, the sales tax. For me, I am very much strongly against them raising our sales tax by a penny. And the reason why I am against that, there's nothing in the language that covers the residents of District 6 specifically. They have mismanaged money for years. And Links, for example, last May they got $50 million in CAD money from Washington National Bank. They just got $300,000 from the FTC, but that money is earmarked and dedicated to Cimarron. Cimarron Boulevard does not cover District 6. So when you're talking about transportation and how poor it's been over the last 35 years, when I was a kid, buses ran every 30 minutes. They were late and broke down. Now they run every hour. They're still late and broke down. We got the prettiest buses, but we have the poorest and unsafe transportation. The connectivity is bad. So if I was to leave my house to ride the bus, once I got to downtown, if I needed to connect to Sunrail or another bus, those systems are already leaving. Now I got to wait another hour to connect to something. And I don't believe families should be spending 5-hour trips on transportation. That takes away valuable time from their family. And then to go to work and only get 4-hour shift, only to have to start that process all over again. This tax also gives the municipalities 10% of the revenue. So you're talking possibly 600 million in tax dollars revenue. They get 10% of that. If you're a municipality, I think the municipality should be contributing to the pot because the residents of those municipalities are using transportation too. So I don't think it's a fair tax because what they claim to help us hurts us. So I know it sounds good when you say it real fast. Oh, we do 1% sales tax. It covers the first $5,000. Anything after 5,000 is back at 6.5%. So how many people are going to benefit at 6.5% on a item that's over $5,000? Only people that can afford the 1 cent tax in the first place. We're hurting right now. If food costs have gone up, gas has gone up, rent has gone up, and to impose a burden of a 1 cent sales tax is just absolutely not a good time to do that, especially when people are facing evictions, foreclosures, and homelessness.
Yes. Those are a lot of the issues. If elected, what is your plan? Like within those first 30 days, what would you like to bring to the seat to see some changes? And we know that nothing happens overnight, but we also know that we want a leader that's in the community that at least has a plan for us.
Well, I would like to see a oversight committee for links and the other transportations because right now there's not any true checks and balances. You get information that says that we have a plan, but there's no true oversight to say, okay, Links provides transportation. How can we get more buses on there? How can we get more drivers? How can we get better connectivity? And how can we shorten the wait time between connectivity so that the bus and the Sunrail and any other mode of transportation you're using is there? Because even with access links, I've had clients that have had to schedule 3 hours in advance just to get to the doctor.
Wow.
And if I got a doctor's appointment at 12 and I gotta wait for the bus to pick me up at 9 from my home, only to take that 3-hour route just to get there by 12. You have dialysis patients who They have a 15 to 30-minute cool down period. If you're not outside by the time you've scheduled that transportation, they leave you. It's got to be something better besides putting a person who's on fixed income to have to figure out how they're going to get home after being treated for dialysis or any other treatment, chemo, whatever that issue is, or just going to the grocery store. It's got to be something much better. So I would love to have a oversight committee that involves the public. We have to be a voice together, not me being the voice and me telling you what to do, because that's not how it works. It's the voices of the people that matter, because they are the ones that are impacted and affected right now. And the same thing with housing. We've got to do something better. It's one thing to say you're going to build houses, but how long can you wait for a developer to build you something when you have access to inventory right now, right here? So you're talking 5,000 units out there available. That's 5,000 families that could be served. You're talking nearly 1,200 units in the city of Orlando. That's 1,200 families that could have housing immediately. So if you go down the list of the 13 municipalities like Apopka, Winter Garden, Windermere, Tildenville, Oakland, each one of these municipalities have inventory. And so when you just imagine how many families you could service immediately, because the last house that Orange County sold was in 2014 on the east side, a beautiful house, and they sold it for $20,000. So it's no such thing as them not being in the real estate business. That's how they obtain these properties, through tax liens and code enforcement. So they have immediate impact now that they could affect change in government. And I'd like to get that program back going so that people can be sustainable. I
Yes.
brought $7 million into Malibu Groves, where I live. We did 67 houses. They got roofs and water heaters and electrical breaker boxes and home improvements, tangible things, so that they can continue to maintain their standard of living in houses that are 57 plus years old.
Wow.
So with that being said, and we did it without any government funding. We didn't ask the city for any money. We didn't ask for the county, but we asked community partners who have the money, that sits on money, like Habitat and Universal Studios and Lowe's and Wells Fargo. Those were the people who helped fund these programs so that we could continue to be sustainable. So there are things that can be done.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a matter of having the leadership and someone who's willing to come out there and tell you, hey, this can happen. This can
Yeah.
work out for us, versus somebody saying, oh, well, we're going to do affordable housing in the next 5 to 10 years. In the meantime, what happens to you? You lose your job because you don't have a roof over your head. You don't have access to food sources. You don't have access to transportation. And not only with transportation, having a car, you got to have health, car insurance.
Yes.
You got to have health insurance just to maintain, because if you're not healthy, you can't go to work.
Yes, there is so many areas in the community, again, where having strong leadership matters. We have to use our voice. If you're watching this interview, this is a lifetime success. This is our political series edition. We're bringing you the candidates so you can get a little bit of one-on-one, hear from them directly, hear why you may need to make the decision to vote in their way. Cynthia, one of the things that I like to say is leaders that answer, leaders that respond when the community reaches out. What is the best way for a person that may want to talk with you a little bit more to contact you? If you can give us an email address, we'll go ahead and put that out there as well.
So the email address I just saw it pop up on the screen, that's probably the best email to get in touch with me right away. I see that one first out of any other emails.
Okay.
My telephone number 407-308-2975. It you can get me most of the time if I'm not out knocking on doors, talking to people, or just doing anything. Yesterday was my senior food day, so every 2 weeks I pick up food and I take it to the seniors who need food. So if I'm not delivering food or helping do something with someone that's in need, 9 times out of 10 you can call that number and I'll call you back.
All right. Hey, if you have jumped in at the end of this interview, remember it is available as well as many others in this political race by subscribing to our YouTube channel, Jennifer Yan, IBA Success Magazine. This is Lifetime Success. Thank you so much, Cynthia Harris, for joining us. Remember, your voice matters. And if you want to make change in the community, reach out directly to some of the candidates that's out there and ask them the questions that is of a concern to you for your area. Any last minute words? And I'm going to let you close out and say goodbye to our viewers today.
Well, as most people are aware, early voting started yesterday. If you vote by mail, make sure you turn your ballot in to the postman. And you can also check to see if your ballot was received by the Office of Elections. This is the most vital time and the most important time because people don't want you to vote. People do anything they can to make a detrimental impact on your lives for you not voting. As I said before, people have died, they shed blood, sweat, tears, endure fire hoses and dogs for your right to have a voice in this community. Local races matter. It's the most detrimental impact that affects you right now versus anything else. Please vote. Please vote Cynthia Harris. If you don't choose me, it's okay. Still vote anyway. But I hope that you would choose Cynthia Harris to be your voice, be your next county commissioner for District 6.
And with that being said, stay tuned, share this video, and reach out directly to Ms. Cynthia Harris if you have any more questions. Thank you all so much for tuning in. Her email address is at the bottom of the screen. Thank you again, Ms. Cynthia Harris, for joining us today and taking time out of your campaign. We're going to let you hit those streets while the weather is still good.
Yeah, it's kind of cloudy right now, so and it's the hottest point of the day, so I got to really hydrate.
Yeah.
But thank you again for having me on.
All right. Y'all have a good day.
Vote
Bye-bye.
Cynthia Harris.